Welcome back to another episode of Heavy Rotation. In the studio tonight, we got the fellas from Druparia, minus their front man, Dave. He's got some important business to take care of at home, but certainly here in spirit. Hey, fellas, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
We got a lot to get into. You guys have been really working hard, and certainly a lot of work that went into your first album release, and that's continued. I think that'd be a good place to start, though, because that's definitely something I noticed in your social media presence and attending the show myself. I was impressed at the production of the album. I think I've never met him in person, but I want to say Dan Patty from Terranoct.
Yep.
Yeah, the album sounds great. We were just playing the album before the show, and then just execution on stage, and just all in all, like very well done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's start there. I mean, how did everything come together, in releasing that album? Sort of a broad question, but just as far as getting the songs tracked, getting the artwork, rolling everything out, doing such a targeted rollout with social media, and then leading up to the album release show. How did all that sort of come together?
I've known Dan for a while. I think I played with him for what was it, like 10 years ago. I actually played I filled in as like a live guitar player for Terranoct for when they were called Dissevered, or I could be messing that up, but we knew, he was excellent at all that stuff, so we knew, hey, let's go with him. And I think we did drums in like 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, so we started with drums. Tyler had a bunch of guitar scratch tracks that we recorded drums to, just with that and a metronome. So we went to Dan's studio, which is also where Terranoct practices. And I think it was more like 3 weeks, but it only took like 3-ish sessions. We knocked drums out pretty quick. I just tracked all the songs.
That was kind of the thing, the trade. It helped because it fit within our schedule, but like it was kind of working around everybody's schedule, so we could only like have maybe 3 hours a week of studio time at his place, and it was dedicated. He was done. I think he was maybe touching up on the Terranoct album at that time or whatever. There was something where I remember him telling us like, hey, kind of focusing on Terranoct at the moment, but once that's done, you guys are all. And then, like, there was a time where he was done, and he's like, okay, it's all you guys now. I can't remember when that happened, but that was sort of a good thing, was we didn't have to there was no just like deadline. We didn't have like a strict like, oh, we need this out.
Yeah.
Now. So
it was pretty lackadaisical, and I went in there and they were like, oh, you can just track whichever songs you want to first. And the first song that I did was Firmament and the Renewal. And Dan in his studio, he's got this big like plexiglass thing between the like mixing station, whatever you want to call it, and like the room where you're doing stuff. And I remember seeing my reflection in the glass with like headphones on, because this is the first time I tracked like a whole album. And I'm like, I remember as a kid watching this video of the drummer of Avenged Sevenfold tracking Almost Easy with the headphones on, and he's just doing the track, and he does it all in like one take. And I saw myself in the reflection, and I'm like, dang. Like, I'm doing what I wanted to do now. It was pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, and then he got the drums really, really quick, and then that took like a year and a half to do guitars. Just for the same kind of reason, we can only have like, I think it was 3 hours a week, and then we'd like to talk. So that 3 hours ends up being maybe an hour and a half of productivity at most, and I think half the album we recorded the guitars, at least the rhythm guitars, at his studio before we kind of were like, this isn't working. We got it. So I kind of did the other half at my place, just kind of direct in with the DIs and everything, and then we were done. I could do it whenever I could and everything, and that was
There was a lot of, socializing and having fun, but it's supposed to be fun. But also there was a lot of making sure that we got everything right. And we got it the way that we wanted. I mean, I forget who the quote is, but one of the quotes that was burned in my mind is that you only get to record your debut album once, so you might as well get it right. And there was a lot of, replaying the same parts and adding in different effects to see what we liked, and me trying to add in a whole bunch of wah-wah, and Tyler that's probably a bit too much wah-wah. But, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. I feel like the album is pretty strong, so I'm glad, we probably could have spent a little bit less time on it, but for the time that we did spend on it, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. It took like, a month or two for bass? Oh, it was like...
Yeah, it was somewhere in that ballpark. It wasn't too long to do anything with the bass tracks and everything with that. I mean, I think it was about a month and a half, maybe 2 months or something like that. It was just, I would usually be able to knock out like 1.5 songs a night with the 3 hours as far as the bass tracking goes. So I mean, it wasn't too terrible. There were some parts where like, where we had been focusing on like one song or something like that for the one period of time, and I'd come back to another song, and it wouldn't be as fresh as it normally would be, and it would take some time to kind of like get the some of the more difficult parts re-recorded and everything like that. Just you hit that record button, and all of a sudden your hands forget what they know. So
and then vocals. Probably everything was fast except for guitars. That was kind of the theme of it. I remember David knocking them out pretty quickly, and then Kyle does backing vocals on it too. Mm-hmm. And then that was. We had also, I think we might have already had it done. There were multiple times where we went to him, but we did Christopher Brown. I'm not sure if he's going by this name anymore, but he went by Cacophonics or something like that. I'm messing it up, but he used to play. He has done stuff for like a lot of people. He played in like Abigail Williams for a minute and lots of other bands. But we did hit him up for this. All the orchestral kind of strings you hear are all him on that album. So we kind of went to him. I think there's like 6 songs that we went to him for. And artwork we did. I might be screwing this name up. Mark Erskine. I'm not sure. I can't remember who else he's done. His style is just always, I thought, was just awesome. And I think we worked with him. We bought, actually the Alfheim demo was also him. And that was a pre-done thing that he did. And it was like available on his website. And we're like, oh, let's do that. And then for River Above, we commissioned him. I think David had the main idea for like the tree or something. I can't remember the exact process, but we went to him. I think it was like before the album. It was like a year before the album was done. I think we had the artwork, and it was cool.
Yeah, he's great. I can see us working with him in the future because I follow him on all the socials now, and there's been several times where I'm like, man, this looks like it would be awesome album art.
Yeah. Dave definitely had like the main idea, because I remember him talking about like, at the concept of having like the sky reflecting with the river and everything like that. So. It was definitely a really good concept that he came up with to hand off to Mark to do.
Yeah. And then for the booklet and the CD, and we wanted to make sure that, again, you only get to do your debut album once. We wanted to make sure that it was a quality product. So we hit up Alex Yarborough, a dude that I've worked with back in the Eternal Legacy days, and I remembered that he was the guy that did the booklet design for them, and I was like, if I ever get another band, I'm gonna hit that guy up again. And he works out of Florida. I think he goes by Dr. Metal, but he did the booklet for us, and took that whole initial artwork from Mark and kind of used that for like the theme for the booklet, and I'm happy with the way that turned out as well.
Another thing, working with Alex, we went to CD Baby to deal with at least for the exact like printing of the the CDs, and he was awesome. And I think he brought someone from CD Baby. Like CD Baby has like you can like go through and do all this on the website, but we had a guy who was there to like really kind of hold our hand through it along with Alex to be like, hey, I need it like this. This is like the sizes or any kind of like inconsistencies or anything on the booklets or whatever. It was good to have someone like in direct contact from CD Baby with all that we can get all that kind of situated.
Yeah, that was a big snag that we hit at the end, and having him to help walk us through that process really helped us get the album out in time.
And then you were kind of talking about the I forget the exact word, but like the structured release or something that was totally not 100%. We went through, it was called Clawhammer PR, is this company that kind of helped us with a lot of that, like rolling out like a music video at a certain time and everything. And it was stuff that was like, oh yeah, this does make sense. We just need someone to like kind of what we were talking about before, the social media stuff is just not our forte, and it was nice to have someone to be like, oh yeah, this is kind of how it normally goes. And like for the video, we went with the Circle Pit. It's I don't know,
Like a YouTube channel.
yeah, that kind of just again similar thing where they're like, oh, we're gonna do like this with multiple shorts and all this on all these different platforms and everything, and that was real cool to like, again, stuff I never would have thought of anybody. I don't think, you know. So it was just another step to help release it the way, you know, properly.
Yeah,
So
it was that was definitely a good move. There was that Metal in the Trenches YouTube channel that I follow. Guy does great content, and to have him pick our album as the pick of the month for when it came out December in was it 2024 now?
Yeah.
It was wild having all my friends be like, dude, the Metal in the Trenches guy picked you guys for his pick for December. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So that was a good move to sort of make some partnerships with, you know, Clawhammer PR and Circle Pit and help get the you know, music videos in front of more eyeballs. So that definitely worked out in our favor.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so shout out to these people, Clawhammer PR and Circle Pit and anyone else involved. It's like really, I guess, you know, you've always had people like this, but just like in different capacities. Like if pre-internet, it would have been like
probably like a label.
yeah, more of that would have been done by just a label, but I guess, you know, you just have like different promoters or maybe it was more like tape trading or something, you know, but you know, just like it certainly can be a lot, you know, pulling you away from like actually rehearsing and writing music than if you try to take all that on yourself of you know, all this social media stuff, whereas there's people that you mentioned that were so helpful in that being their specialty.
Yeah. And I think that helped us because, you know, we didn't even do any of the label shopping or anything like that. It was just stuff that was like, you know, there might be more to it because I've never worked with a label, so I don't know the exact details, but it seemed like what a label would do. It was like, why would we go to them and have some sort of contract and not actually have them, you know, all this kind of restrictions where we could just be like, just do it ourselves, kind of cut out the middleman kind of thing. And it's cool. I mean, we're happy with, you know, how it was received and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm I was at your guys' release show at the Foundry where it was before, with Blood Coven and
Storm Reaver was there.
Yeah, and the Jotun.
Yeah.
I think it was Storm Reaver, the Jotun, Blood Coven.
Yeah.
I didn't see Storm Reaver play that night, but I met.
I think they were either the first or second.
first.
They were first, yeah.
I met. Man, I feel bad if I get this wrong. Now I want to say his name is Joe.
Joe Caustic.
Yeah.
With the
tall guy.
tall, long-haired guy.
Yeah.
Who plays. I want to say he's guitar in that. There's two guitars. Yeah.
Yeah,
They were on the
Eric
show,
Miller, Joe.
and they gave me they sent me out, nice enough to send me out the shirt and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So Storm Reaver was there, and yeah, man, you guys sounded great, man. You know, like
Appreciate it.
everything came together very nicely. Nice to have Blood Coven on the bill, like just OG band for, you know, I don't even know if we had to count 20, 30 years maybe.
Yeah, probably 30. I think he's
Dan's
been
maybe-
more than I've been alive.
I could be mistaken, but I think Dan said that they started Somewhere around like 89 or maybe 91. I could be mistaken, way off on that, but that's just what's coming to mind off the top of my head and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've definitely been around for a hot minute, and you know, it's like, you know, it's great to have them, you know, get involved with that as well, because, you know, Dan Soudens, he's a good dude to us. Always been, you know, a good guy in the scene. Same with Christian Crooker. He's a real good dude. I've known him probably longer than I've known Dan. So, you know, both really good, solid guys.
Yeah, when I think back to that release show, got to thank Bill Zakovic, who's played in a whole bunch of bands. He helped us put that show together, and then Ray from the Foundry. I'm really happy that we were able to play it there. You know, it's still one of my favorite venues. Loved the old location, loved the new location. So it was cool to be able to have our CD release show there.
Yeah, that was kind of the weird date to have it on that. It was like December 27th, which
it's like right after Christmas.
On paper is horrible, because and a lot of people even said that. They're like, well, we can't, you know. They wanted to put it on their lists for 2020. You know, it was like, oh, I missed it. You know, I did my best of list too late or something, or too early. And
the pro is that everybody was on holiday break, so we had a really good turnout at that show. It was
surprising.
Surprisingly high. It was so cool to play in front of that many people. I mean, I'm sure I speak for all of us. You feed off of a crowd when it's you know, that size and that energetic. The con of playing a show that late is that everybody's already put out their best of 2024 lists. So it's like,
and it's still hard to kind of even say when the album, because like on Spotify it came out in 2025. So it's like, is it actually a 2024 album or a 2025? You know,
the physical release and the show is in 2024, and then by the time we sorted out all of the streaming services issues that we had, it ended up coming out, you know, very early in January in 2025. So,
but
how do you look at it?
Like the whole reason for that was because we wanted it at the Foundry, and we knew the Foundry was kind of there was I can't remember if it was when we learned it was changing or that location was going was
it was one of the last shows at the old location.
Yeah, so we just that was a special thing where we just like that was like the only day we had available. That was like a Saturday, like not like a weekday or something. And so we're like, okay, let's take it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, especially because I know speaking between Tyler and myself, like that was like one of the venues, like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, stuff like that. We were cutting our teeth when we were first, you know, starting to get into stuff like that.
I think we actually played we were in a band
way back,
2012 called Apathy, and it was like a black metal band or whatever. I actually think we played the first show of that location. I could be wrong. I thought there was something where it was like an opening thing. Maybe it was like the first or second. I don't know.
Maybe I can't.
Maybe under a different name, because I know it's
no, it was Foundry. It was 100% the Foundry.
No, what I mean is it used to have a different name. That venue,
the Hi-Fi.
No, it was not that. It was the Foundry.
Gotcha.
Like straight up, it was.
I don't know when the name change occurred.
I mean, I'm not sure. I know
like early 2013.
I know that was like one of the venues that we, you know, like you look back on it when, you know, you've been doing this for like 10, 15 years, and that was like, you know, one of the first venues that we're letting like local bands like us come up, like that were, you know, nobodies that nobody knew about or anything like that, and, you know, come out and open up for, you know, some bigger name bands and stuff like that, which was always cool. You know, they were always good to us. Their booking people were always cool with us, and same goes for you know, No Class as well. Back when it was, now that's Class 2, and you know, still today with No Class, you know, they were also another venue that you know, would do a lot of that stuff too. So a lot of good memories from both of those places.
Yeah, and then kind of going back to Dan from Blood Coven and everything. There was we're talking about how he's been kind of like this sort of mentor kind of guy or whatever, and he's always been that sort of like, you know, again, no disrespect to Dan, but he is, you know, significantly older than us, still doing it, and it's one of those where it's an inspiration where it's like, oh man, if he could do this, we could. It's not, you know, it's proof there's no expiration date on this, and it's like, dude, that's awesome. And he's, you know, saying how, you know, he's been like one of the first guys. He was literally the first guy that I met that was like in like a local band. I went with a high school friend of mine whose uncle like worked with him or something to an Iron Maiden show in like 2010, and he was actually the connection we actually kind of got in for free, and you know, through Dan's little magic or whatever. It was yeah. But just meeting him, like being like the first person that we met, and then him, he's like, oh yeah, I play in a band. And so I was like, oh, you could like do that? Like I didn't. It was just one of the like. He's just always been that guy, at least for me, where it was just like, okay, it made sense to have them play that, and same. I mean, all the bands we had a connection with all. Storm Reaver we've been friends with since I think Eric and Joe were in Radiatrix. Was the band. We were friends with them and Mithrius and everything, and we've kept in touch with them since when they left, and we're forming them, and the Jotun. Paul he was a huge supporter of us when we were in Mithrius. He did a bunch of shows with us. Him and his brother Sean were in the Dagger Rebellion from way back then, and so he was he's always been big supporter of us. So it was just like all bands, it just made sense. Like
it's like partying with our friends pretty much.
There's definitely a lot of camaraderie among the lot of the local metal bands around here, and that's a really good thing.
Which is really cool, because it wasn't always like that,
Yeah.
And I mean, especially when I was younger and seemed a little bit more competitive, less venues, a lot more pressure. But yeah, everybody helps each other out to the point where if somebody gets offered a show and can't play it, you'll go out of your way and be like, hey man, we can't do that one because somebody's working, but you should totally hit up, and we'll name one of our friends' bands. And I feel like everybody kind of helps each other out like that. And
there's definitely a lot of passing offers off if somebody can't make something, like Josh said. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on.
We've had the opposite too. Someone's given us a show because they've been hey, we can't make it, but you should hit them up. And they said that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had that, just a case in point, we had that one band that was that contacted us. I think they were from New York, if I remember correctly, and so it was some type of schedule confliction, but we couldn't do it. But we totally passed them off to Terranoct, I think, and Terranoct, if I remember correctly, ended up doing it, or somebody like that did it.
You're right. You're probably right. I can't remember.
That's all good. It's all good. Either way, but that's what I remember. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we that's very prevalent in the scene right now, and it's it's good to see. A lot of the guys trying to help each other out. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I think in with that, if something happens where you've already committed to it and you have to drop off it, I mean, you want to have a network of people that so you're not leaving a mess for the promoter or the venue, well, hey, I already hit up so and so, they can take our spot, that kind of, you're just always things happen organically, when you have so many friends and connections in the scene. So as stated, Noah, you came in like a boss and just knocked out the drums on this recording.
Don't inflate his ego, man.
Yes, sir.
I was just looking for kind of a slick way to come over to him because we hadn't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah.
Or in a couple minutes. So what's your process in preparing to, hit the studio? Are you do you track yourself at home, or are you how do you approach that, as you're heading over to track with Dan, Patty, or anywhere that you might be tracking it?
Yeah, so my process basically just looks like practice, like a lot of practice. All the songs for the album we had put together already, and we were playing them live. And my kind of drum process is Tyler or even Dan from Terranoct will have MIDI drums to a track that they write, and then I'll kind of come in and put my own drums over it and my own style. And a lot of the writing process for drums, for me at least, is just hammering it out at practice with everybody. And I'll have the main beats and whatnot down, a thrash beat goes here, a blast beat goes here, there's a drum fill here. But a lot of the fills and the connecting kind of sinew, or whatever word you want to use, is I'll just improvise fills and stuff and just throw stuff at the wall until it finally sticks for me. And I'm when it sticks for me, then I know that it's good for the song and everything. So we were playing those songs for a couple of years before, not all of them. One of them we just finished writing before we went to the studio. Like, I think the main title track, River Above, and then the one we did the music video for, Sever the Roots, yeah. Like, that was, like, Sever the Roots especially was, like, I just put that together the day we were recording it. And there's some stuff that I'll do live, and that track especially, that you don't hear on the album, but it's, like, very small stuff. And a lot of, like, my practicing process is, like, when I'm learning a song, I'll play it, and I'll have it in my headphones, and then I'll go down to just playing it with a metronome, and then I just play it on my own just with some, like, earplugs in. And, like, when I know that I can play a song without any sort of, like, backing track going on, then I know that I've learned it good enough to, like, track it in the studio or play it live or something like that.
I love to hear that, man.
Yeah.
That's music to my ears. I mean, like, it's not always the case, we'll say. You know, that does remind me of, like, when Scott from Odious Sanction came in, and he was just talking about how Steve is that way. Steve Shaletti? Steve from Immolation and Odious Sanction, that he's, as you said, he's ready to play that song unaccompanied.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, truly, like, as in the way a guitarist would. Like, just knowing, I guess, you know, sometimes depending on the style of music, like if it's jazz fusion or blues, like maybe the solo is not pre-planned.
Yeah.
But in the style of metal, certainly, and in modern metal, you know, like, that's just how
You got to be kind of structured.
that's how we want it, right? You
Yeah.
know, like we want to. It's like classical music, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to hear it, we want the same way and execute it well. And you know.
Yeah, there's definitely far less improvisation. From a drummer standpoint, though, like, I will still have, like, little fills. Maybe I'll do one over the other if it doesn't, like, change the song. Like, if I'm doing specific hits with the guitar, I'm going to want to do those or it's going to sound weird. But I have, like, a jazz background as well, and I've played in jazz band and whatnot in college, and it's like I still have, like, an improvisational edge that I really like to pull out, but especially for, like, a lot of the Druparia songs, it's like it's pretty rigid, but then I'll still have, like, fills and stuff that I can kind of change around or feel out, or maybe I'll add in a couple extra things live if I'm, like, if the adrenaline's going, I just want to do something extra. But it is definitely, like, very structured. A lot of metal is, like, very structured, and, like, getting it down is, like, the main thing, where it's like you're playing with the guitar a lot of the time. It's going to sound kind of weird if you're not playing with the guitar, like specific hits and whatnot.
It is at least good to have someone that can do it, because I don't have an improv bone in my body. I can't do any. Yeah, so it's good that, you know, someone can do that.
Yeah, in the right,
to some degree. Yeah.
in the right spot. You know, like, yeah, with a drum fill, or it could even be something as simple as just like you're, like, introducing the band really quick, and it's like, you know, you're not gonna, like, freeze up when you go to do your little
Yeah.
showy kind of thing, or like do the same thing every time, or you know, like, just little stuff like that.
Or if there's, like, a hiccup live, you know, knowing how to, like,
Yeah.
which, you know,
I've
come in.
experienced one or two hiccups in the day.
Yeah, but like I said, you're you know.
We've always recovered. Where's that that
Yeah.
wood I need to knock on?
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Tyler
But
just told me at the last practice, he's like, thank God you can recover after messing up, because, like, geez, like, he's like, I really appreciate it. And I was like, thank you. Like, sometimes when I mess up, I'm like, oh boy, or like I drop a stick and I'm like, it's so over.
Yeah.
But, like, you just have to not stop playing.
Yeah.
I remember, for me, especially, a lot of the drumming process for this band was new, because I met them and we started playing in a band.
Yeah.
Like, I just turned 18 and graduated high school, and I started playing with them. And I met Tyler. I was texting him beforehand, because I met him through Kyle, because I met Kyle first. And I met Tyler at an At the Gate show at the Agora. And he came up to me and introduced himself and everything, and they sent me the tracks, and the first track they sent me was Bereavement, and there was, like, MIDI drums on it, and I was, like, 18, like, I had never played live before, and I listened to the track, and I was like, I don't know if I could play this, man. This is really hard. And that's the first song we put together as a band, was Bereavement, and that's still one of the hardest songs to play live for
I would have
us,
to
I
agree.
think.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was kind of the song that was like, it was the hardest one in the
Yeah.
batch of, like, new, like, we had like a few batches of songs or whatever, and that was kind of like I don't know what you call it, like the I don't know, the standard setter or whatever.
Trial by
be like,
ordeal.
okay, well,
Yeah.
this is that was the thing where, like, I think Kyle you called me on the phone the one time. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, you want to like start a band? I was like,
Yeah.
well, I got this, I got a couple songs that like I sent you guys per email.
Yeah.
I remember you told me like, oh, the drummer's like down to do it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he can do this. Okay, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
I wanted to play live so bad because I'd never played live before, and I was
Yeah.
just like, get me in a band, and I want to do shows.
Yeah, I mean, I just gotten out of a band, and it was like a stoner rock to metal type of band that I was in, and I reached out to Tyler because at that point I wasn't 100% sure. I was like 50-50 if I wanted to do anything like right out the gate out of a an older project and everything like that, and I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, like, what do you got going on? Are you doing anything? And yeah, he sent me that stuff, and we kind of started like bouncing ideas back and forth off of each other, like through our phones and stuff like that, and messaging each other. And yeah, I met Noah when I was oddly enough I was working at Giant Eagles. I think was the first time I met Noah, and he came up to me, well, how's that work? And we started talking, and I was like, all right, yeah, like let's try and get something together and jam, and then we're heading out to Tyler's place because he was the only one who had like a basement that we could jam in without like, getting the cops called on us for noise violation or anything like that. And he's got a place. He had a place out in Cuyahoga Falls at the time, and it's
I think
just
it was Akron at that time.
yeah, Akron. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was the Falls. My bad. But
Close enough.
yeah, they're next to each other. But anyways, we were just, we started jamming out there, and then eventually we moved up to Josh's because Josh was kind of more in the middle of everyone. So he offered to. So once he was involved in the band, we moved over to his place, and we've kind of been there ever since, and been doing this since I don't know what 2018 now I think is one since.
We started talking in 2018. I feel like we didn't
Yeah.
really start till 2019. Like Josh
It
didn't
was
join the
like-
band till like springish.
Yeah, it was
2019,
winter
so-
in 2018. We met at your house like
Yeah.
right before New Year's.
Yeah.
And then we had Joe from Storm Reaver play with us for a little while.
Yeah.
And then that's after him. That was when Josh joined. I remember you and Kyle were upstairs tracking some demo or something, I think. And Josh, I'd never met him before. I hear somebody coming down the basement, and in walks this dude, and like it's middle of winter. He's in like shorts and flip flops with no socks, and he's got his
remember
guitar
this
on
at
his
all.
back. He's like, "What's up, dude? Is this your place?" And I'm like, "No, who are you?" I'm like, what the heck?
Sounds about right.
I don't remember that at all. Wow.
So it seems like, just in hearing you guys like talk about the process and everything, that you're able to write together real well. You're able to present ideas to Noah, like MIDI program drums, and he's able to take that and jazz it up a bit, but like I guess what I'm getting at is like well, this is where it's taking me rather. When you guys write, do you typically, will one person kind of structure together a whole song and then like that, and then you kind of go from there?
Yeah, it's usually Tyler. Tyler's definitely the riff meister as far as that goes.
Official title.
Yeah, he definitely comes up with the majority of the working material and stuff like that, and yeah, I mean he just. I don't know where he gets it from, but he's always got that the gears rotating up there, as far as riffs go, and songs and stuff like that. I mean, we're already working on I think 2 or 3 newer songs that we're planning to take into a studio moving forward sometime in the future, and
Already playing some of them live now.
yeah, I'm sure there's more on the back burner too that we haven't even touched yet, and
there's like
you know,
Yeah, we got a whole album ready to go. We just got to put it together.
yeah, pretty much.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's definitely, you know, I think it starts with Tyler, and then definitely we'll bounce the ideas back off of each other because he's definitely open to, like, you know, other people's input. You know, it's not just like, hey, it's my way or the highway or whatever or anything like that. He's definitely, you know, very, very easy to work with and stuff like that and collaborate with. And, you know, we'll all kind of just bounce ideas off of each other. But, you know, it generally will start with him most of the time.
Like, my favorite album or favorite song in the album is Bled for Comfort, which Kyle actually started. I think you had like the verse, you had a verse, chorus, bridge kind of going.
Yeah.
And we just kind of expanded on that. And I still love that song. Like, that's still like my, you know.
Yeah, that's one of the only songs that we've basically written together. Because I remember doing that in your basement, and we were just going through stuff for it.
Yeah.
And, like, one of my philosophies for writing drums is, like, I want to try to have at least one, like, unique thing about the song. So, like, in Under the Shade of Sand at the very beginning, there's that, like, tom groove with the China symbol on, like, the offbeat. And that's, like, a left-hand lead thing, so it took me a while to get that down. Or, like, there's a new song that we're working on where I put in, like, a linear drum groove that I read out of, like, a funk studies book, like, years ago. And I'm like, you know what, this would sound really cool here. So, like, I try to do, like, one unique thing in each song, even if it's just something simple, like playing, like, the hi-hat with my left hand while my right hand's already doing something, just to, like, make, like, something novel in there, even if nobody else is going to know that something unique is happening.
Like, even with that song, it's in this new batch of songs, David, our vocalist, he plays guitar a little bit, but he actually wrote, I'd say he wrote that song. He took a riff that I had like years ago from me and David were in a band called Once Flesh like years ago, and it was supposed to be for them, and it never, you know, nothing happened with it. And he took that and did a whole bunch. I mean, he wrote, again, it was like a verse, chorus, bridge thing or whatever, and then just expanded on it. But I think that's like probably the best song of the new like batch or whatever. And you know, he wrote that, so I mean, I feel like it's, you know, and I think what was it? In Repose Descend.
Yeah, that was Josh.
Yeah, it came from a riff Josh had. I think that the chorus or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd say most of it comes from me, but I'd like to, you know, still think that there's and even when we all learn it, there's still parts. I think like Firmament actually, the ending was totally different.
Yeah.
And Josh started playing something, and I was like, wait, that's like way better than what it was. Let's keep that. So that's kind of how it, you know. So I feel like when it comes into the band, people start putting stuff on it and everything. I mean, that's what like everybody says, but it's true. You know, it just turns into.
That's my happy places. I like being I don't want to be the head chef, but if I see an opportunity to add some salt and pepper to a recipe, like I'm good with that. Like if there's an opportunity to throw a riff in somewhere, and I think of it, I'll be like, let's just try this once. If you like it, we can keep it. If not, we can scrap it. And some of the riffs that have ended up on the first album were that way. So.
I like that analogy. That's a good analogy.
I don't even know if it's a good analogy.
I liked it. I'm gonna save that for the future.
No, I think that's a very important role to have. Like, that's sort of the same as, say you go into record and you know, having a producer or like nowadays that person might just kind of be your engineer that you know, that the song is already a good song, you know, a good piece of art, but, you know, having, you know, outside of the original person that writes it, like sometimes that the finishing touches can only really come from an outside source, you know?
Yeah. And actually Dan has done exactly that. He actually has some writing credits on this because he put in some melody or some little change here that's like, okay, that's like changed like the song pretty drastically. That's pretty, you know. So yeah, he's exactly done that.
He did the synth intro for us for Sever the Roots.
Well, yeah, but then we nixed it because it's just we turned it into the orchestral thing.
I mean, you know, he still had the idea. I thought we
kept the synth thing.
Yeah, don't we still have the synth on?
Oh, wait a minute.
We did.
I'm thinking of something else.
No,
Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's synth on Sever. Yeah,
he had more in the beginning. There was more along with because we had Chris do cello to what he had,
right,
and then we just like Chris's. But then you're talking about the fade in, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
When
yeah.
we
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
writing, or when we were like in the finishing process of the album, I heard that synth part, and they're like, "Oh, let's get rid of it. Let's do something else." And I fought
and I were
so
like- yeah,
hard
you and I were like,
to
"No
keep
way,
that
that
in because
stays."
it's like different and unique,
Yeah.
and it's like it sounds so cool. And I was like, "This is like different, and we need to have
There's
like
not a whole lot of that on the
I'm
album.
just, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna be the voice of David here and say you didn't like it.
I made sure it stayed in the album."
But to get us back on track, like, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I've been in bands and places where I throw out an idea and somebody's like, "Don't tell me how to play my instrument" or something like that. Like, it's never been like that in this band. Any suggestion, any cool part is we'll try it. We'll see if we like it. If and it's never been disrespectful if somebody's like, that's cool, but I don't think it fits here. I don't think we should use it. And then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
We're all, that comes with maturity, I think.
Yeah.
I think all of us have, as you've heard, played in several bands before this. We know what a good relationship with your bandmates is like, and what a good constructive collaborative writing process looks like. And I'm happy to still be doing that at my age. So
100%.
Yeah, I mean, to have what you guys do is like, honestly, not a lot of musicians do. If you're, and what I mean by saying that is that you're all invested in the band, and there is even if one person is sort of like spearheading things, like you're all collaborative and like excited about it, and like, whereas like, say you come into like, so what's we call like a legacy band, or like a like a hired gun, say that wouldn't really be the situation. You're just like, well, I'm just thankful I'm doing this. I'm not really gonna try to overstep or whatever, but probably like advantages to that situation too, whatever, if you have bigger shows to do or whatnot. But definitely want to represent your singer, even though he's not here. The vocals on the album sound really, really nice. When we were listening before the show, I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, do you guys like Darkest Hour? Like, it just kind of hit me like on that one song, but he's got a really strong growl. Did you guys know Dave prior to this project, or how did you guys link up with him?
I played with him in Once Flesh for a little bit, yeah.
You mentioned that,
yeah,
my bad.
But he was always like a good friend and everything, and actually like the little collection of songs that like I had before, basically any of these guys kind of were involved. Had a few people kind of coming in and out with that, but David, there was like I can't remember when this exactly was, 2016-ish, 2017 or so, and he said something like, oh, if you get a band together, like, I'm there. Like, he was always kind of there. He's just like, as long as you just get a band, I'll be there. So, and I think he kind of, I can't really speak for him too much, but I know he mentioned something about wanting to do like the specific, like wanting to exercise his vocals in a different way with this band than like normally, because Once Flesh is kind of like typical, I mean, not typical death metal, it's like it's like almost technical, like he's all over the place. And I think this one is like, he wanted to, like, it was almost like again, can't speak for him, but like almost like a specific exercise for him that he wanted to do with this project. And it was cool. It was, like I said, appreciated him like doing it. We did kind of have to like in the studio, some of the, we're like, man, I know you got more range than this. You can do this. And there are times where he did actually kind of go, like I think in the first song you can hear just kind of lower, layers and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a couple parts in Voiceless where he goes real low.
Yeah.
And Josh was just saying this the other day, but David's vocals, even live, like wherever we're playing, they always cut right through like all the music and everything, and they're pretty distinct and clear. And I really enjoy that about his vocals.
I think one of my favorite things about him too is his ability as a lyricist. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned In Repose Descend earlier, and I showed up with this riff, and I'm like, yeah, man, I had like a really horrible nightmare last night, and I just woke up and started playing through this riff, and I'm like, I think it would be cool to write a song about that nightmare. And I like gave him like one paragraph that I had in my phone and my notes app of like what I remembered from the nightmare, and he took that and he wrote that whole song just off of like the inspiration provided from that paragraph. And I just remember reading through it, I'm like, man, this like nails the swirling nightmare, swirling fear that I had in that moment. And I just think he's a great lyricist too, which, sometimes that's not always the case. Finding somebody that's both a good vocalist and a good lyricist is sometimes difficult. So.
Yeah. So is that common for you guys where you would collaborate on the lyrics to a degree as well?
A little bit. He usually, I'd say it's still like 90% him. But there's times where he's like, I'm not really sure what to like do here, and we'll like kind of brainstorm between all of us. Someone will kind of throw out an idea, and he'll like roll. He's really good with roll. I think that's maybe his kind of like, Josh was saying, where he, lately I feel like even for the second album, like not a whole lot of lyrics are complete, but he's very much like, oh, if you give me like what do you guys want this to be about? What's this? Like, then we'll say something, and he'll like it or whatever, and then just roll with that, and then it's just like done. He'll just complete it. But yeah, he's still like, I think I have written some of the lyrics. I think I wrote lyrics for Kintsugi on this one, but that's it. Everything else was
Bereavement?
No.
No? That was all him?
That was
Yeah.
that was an idea from that. So I started writing that song the day after my dog died, but I think we had like the word bereavement or something, and he wrote that again. Took that idea and sort of incorporated that. Again, it's not like directly about like that, but you can kind of take that like overall message from that song,
Yeah.
just
You got to respect the range. I mean, he'll write lyrics about my nightmare, the loss of a loved one, politics, or Mobile Suit Gundam the anime. Like,
Nice.
I like that he has that kind of range.
Well, yeah, I think when you write lyrics with a good degree of I don't want to say, well, like I was gonna say vague, but that's maybe not the best way to say it. But like leaving a bit to the imagination, or like not too on the nose.
All my favorite bands do that.
Yeah. And I love bands. Well, not as much now, but I did a lot when I was younger, and I still do to a degree. Like a lot of hardcore music, where that's cool. That's how a lot of them are. Like if you think about like Hatebreed or something, like it's very on the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that sort of does limit, I think, your topics. So I
Limits the reach a little bit too. I mean, again, there's
yeah.
a place for that where sometimes you do need something that's very just on the nose and plain. But I feel like if you have something a little bit more vague, more people can connect with it in different ways.
Sure.
Yeah, what was that quote that Dee Snider laid out in front of Congress that one time about lyrics allow you to put your own experiences into. I'm going to mess it up, but I like that philosophy.
Yeah, it was something like that. Where he was. I think he was basically saying like, you guys were looking for bad things in my lyrics, so you found them because you were looking for them.
Yeah.
The PMRC was it?
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah. A bunch of senators' wives had nothing better to do with their time.
Dee Snider, respect.
So you have some new album in the works, and do you have some gigs on the horizon?
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. We got August 1st with It's Befallen, their CD release, No Class. A couple more on the way we're not really supposed to say anything about, but yeah, definitely some.
Got a big one coming up. Just hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, well, let's hype up that one, and then I did see that Befallen. I seen them play. They played on a show with Nunslaughter, I think, at No Class. Like I said, yeah. Okay, so excellent. Yeah, you're doing the release show with them. New material in the works. anything? For anyone that's interested, because we got, we can go as long as we can go longer than an hour, but we're at about like 15 minutes now. I want to make sure we get it in here. I know you guys have a band camp, and then aside from like picking up merch at that show at No Class, for folks that are in Cleveland or nearby, can people get CD, vinyl, or T-shirts? Like, can they get it from you online?
Yeah, that's anything that's available is on Bandcamp. We got CDs, T-shirt. We do have a new T-shirt that's coming out. We'll kind of debut it at the show.
If anybody just wants stuff, you could just always contact one of us directly through like Facebook or Instagram and be like, "Hey, ship this to me," or like, "Give this to me," or whatever.
Yeah,
and, like,
100%.
We'll just be like, 100%. "Yeah, here you go, dude."
Yeah.
No, we got no problem like running to the post office and getting some envelopes and stuff like that for like sending out shirts and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, on the socials, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, we're on all the streaming services too.
Yeah. TikTok.
You got a TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not, man?
Gotta get the kids somehow.
Yeah. No, it's strange. I have a TikTok for my that I made for my, I don't have a physical location, but like I teach music lessons. And then I used to teach at elementary school. And then I wouldn't say it like blew up, but like just every once in a while, like some of these kids I used to teach them, they'll like find my thing and they'll be like, I'll open it up and there's like 20 comments like, "Hi, Mr. Brown. Hi, Mr. Brown." I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's easily the most, well, not so much anymore. Like surprised me how much reach it had. It's like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to this. Like,
I mean, I think we were getting requests for some CDs that we shipped out like overseas even, I think.
Yeah, that's
we
it.
had
Yeah,
a couple requests that we shipped out some CDs. I know we shipped out like a bundle of some CDs to a shop in Japan, believe it or not.
That was cool.
Which was really cool. They actually reached out to us and they wanted to carry our CD in their store, so I think we sent them like a little bundle of CDs to sell and everything like that in their store, and it was really cool.
yeah. Same thing. There was another one in Europe too. I don't think it was as big, but yeah. It was cool. We got enough. We sold the whole first order basically, and was able to basically pay for another order from that. Just the money we made on that first one. So I mean, people saying they're not buying physical media. I mean, we're one little band or whatever, but I mean, it seems a lot of people are still interested in physical media.
Yeah. How many? So did you just do a CD release for the first album, or?
Yeah, and then. I mean, we just got the order of like 100 or whatever.
Okay.
But then that 100 got sold. Then we ordered another 100 from the money we made from that one. So
yeah, I think if I remember correctly, running the merch table that night, I think we sold quite a bit of CDs that night. I know we did a lot of. I know we did a lot of shirts that night too. Yeah. Can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but I know like people were really hot for it. When we did the release show.
Excellent.
Which is appreciated.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we thrive, and survive basically on the good graces of those that are listening to our music. So, we definitely appreciate people supporting us.
Well, I mean, like I had stated, prior, and it shows, just in the way that you guys talk about all this stuff. There's a lot of care put into the it being released properly, and that's the excitement is conveyed in like hearing you guys talk about it, so I think that just carries a lot of merit, and of course, you can sell 100, and that even just that might not seem like a lot, but I think that's quite a big statement. I mean, people are just trying to even like get streams and things. So, but the
hope is, I mean, at least for me personally, again, I can't speak for everybody, but the hope is that we can land some shows in other places too. Like we've been trying to network with other bands in cities that are, within driving distance. Would love to play in Detroit. Would love to play in Pittsburgh. I've had my eye on that metal scene for a while. Some great bands have come out of Pittsburgh. Would love to play Columbus. Would love to play Wheeling. Would love to play Buffalo. So that's hopefully, getting more, getting the music out there and put in front of more people. Hopefully that leads to opportunities like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it certainly will, man. And then, yeah, so I feel like, we've done a good job in, representing the work that you guys have done and like just letting people know what's on the horizon, where they can, get merch or physical releases. Worth mentioning, some of the other projects that you guys are involved in, right? Sort of as we're winding down. So I know, Tyler, you mentioned that you're currently live musician with I hope I say it right. The
Jotun.
Thank you. I definitely was not going to say it that way. The Jotun.
Yeah.
How's that going, man?
That's cool. Paul hit me up and it was like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, hey, we kind of have an issue. We might need someone, would you be willing to, help us out on guitar or whatever? And it was like, I think it was like 2 weeks until we actually just played the show on Friday. It was Klemosh at Mercury. And it was like, yeah, it just took 2 weeks. We had like 2 weeks and 2 practices to like get 8 songs in or something like that, whatever. And it was one of those where I was like, totally like they play in like a totally different, like we play in just regular E standard and they're in like drop G, and it's like I had to like literally get a guitar set up to like go like that low. I couldn't. I was like, and it was just this whole different like universe for me there. But it was like it was kind of reminded me back of like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was like playing in 2-3 bands at a time and everything. And now with the job and wife, kid, all that stuff, I was like, I can't really do that. But this is kind of like almost me wanting to be like, I just want to see if I can still do this. And it was cool. They're really cool guys. And I think we have another show on Saturday in Columbus at Ace of Cups. I don't know what the exact title of the show is, but yeah, on the 27th. And yeah, it was cool. It's also Paul Clark, who was in Behest of Serpents, is in the same position. They took him on drums to help. I don't know if I don't know the exact status of if he's in a band or filling it or not. But yeah, they took both of us, and yeah, it was cool. So
how did that work? Like, did they provide you tabs or like isolated tracks to bring you in? Or
yeah, they sent tabs. Not all of them are correct. A lot of them still. It was like I met with Sean, the guitar player, the other guitar player, and did like a live video of like kind of going over stuff. I would say something like, I was like, I think this is, this didn't sound right, or like going over different parts. Like they have like times where they have like 5 different guitar parts, and it's like, okay, which one am I actually doing here? What's, so yeah, it was cool. They're really cool, really professional. And again, they've helped us out a ton. And it was one of those where I was like, I can't help but return the favor and everything. And again, maybe that helps to, I think, I even told Paul this. I was like, I don't mean to sound like selfish, but I'm also using this to like help out Druparia to see if we can, I'm talking to other people or learning how they do things and all this to try to apply it to this, to us. And so,
yeah.
And he was obviously like, he's like, yeah, absolutely, and so yeah, it's been real cool.
They sounded really good at the show. Josh and I both went to the show at Mercury. They sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of hardcore bands there also. 2 bands that I really enjoyed at that show. There's a band called In Ether, all one word. They were really good. And then another band called Kodama, Kodama or something like that. They sounded really tight live.
Common Threat was good too.
Common Threat was also good.
They remind me of Power Trip. I love Power Trip.
Yeah, all the bands there sounded great.
Shout out to Common Threat. Their singer, Blade, he did the vocals on Ancient Limbs song that I put out, the first song. He was like, we started the project together, and then he's moved on since. But he lives like one street over from me, and I know he's really happy being involved with Common Thread. It's like a really good fit for him. Like last time I talked to him, he's really, really jazzed on it, and like he does artwork for a living. Like he does like graphic design, but like he's been doing all their artwork and then artwork for the Martial Law Records, a hardcore label that they're on. So shout out Blade and Common Threat. And then you Noah, you mentioned you have another band called Seabiscuit.
I do, yeah. So we are currently on hiatus, but Seabiscuit is like a two-piece like thrash metal / hardcore band. It's me and the other guy, Chris, who plays guitar, and then we both do vocals. And it's been really interesting playing in that band as a second band because I have gotten to see a lot of like the hardcore scene through that. Because usually like this is like the Druparia is like the first band that I played in. So it's like I was meeting a lot of people that are older than me because they've got a couple of years on me. They were playing shows when I was a wee little kid. So like when I started playing out with Seabiscuit, we were playing with a lot of bands that were on, you mentioned Martial Law Records. We played with a couple bands from there. And we've done a lot of like DIY shows. There's a place in Akron called Cling Thing, which is literally just this dude's house and he has shows out of the basement. There's a place in Canton called The Spot. And it's just been interesting seeing like the other side of like the Cleveland and Akron music scene where instead of everybody being older than me, everybody's younger than me. And it's like listening to what they're listening to and then listening to what all the people who have been around for a while have been listening to is really interesting. Seabiscuit definitely is like very like, since it's just a two-piece band, I get to express myself through a lot of like drum solos and stuff like that. Which is like
solos.
Yes, I at our first couple of shows, I played a drum solo, and then I started playing kazoo while I was playing the drums, because they give me a mic to do vocals. I'm like, I got to do something cool with this. So, like, whenever I'm playing with Druparia and I'm playing the drums, I imagine that I'm, like, doing, like, a sophisticated dance or, like, painting a picture or something. Like, that's how I feel what I'm doing with my limbs. Is like what I'm doing, like if you picture it in your head. With Seabiscuit, it's like I'm on a minecart and the minecart is like jumping off the rails and I'm trying so hard to keep it on track because it's more of like almost a punk band. It's like thrash metal with like hardcore breakdowns and then like punk stuff, and like I'm playing and like screaming at the same time, and it's crazy.
Yeah, just wait till the kazoo tabs come out.
Yeah, literally the kazoo tabs for the solo. Yeah. But it's been an interesting experience. Like I said, we're on hiatus. The guitar player is getting married and everything, so we're taking a break. So like Druparia has always been like my constant, and then I'll have like something on the side going on.
Okay, right on. Yeah, is there any releases for Seabiscuit?
There is, yeah. We released an EP a while ago called Lake City Quiet Pills, and there's like 4 or 5 songs on that. There's a song on that called Rats, and I do a drum solo in that. And we were in a studio called The Electric Company, which is in downtown Akron. And we're like, I blasted through the drum tracks on that in like a night, in like a couple hours. And they're like, all right, well, let's pull out an old song that we wrote in high school and just track it. And Chris is like, oh, I got to pull out a wild card for this. I'm like, a wild card? And they found this like old bass drum and they set it on a chair. And in the drum solo, you can hear me playing on the bass drum and my drum set at the same time. And it sounds like I'm hitting like a wet pillow. And there's a part in the drum solo where I'm doing a split where I'm playing the bass drum with my right hand and then my bass drum with my foot. And I just try to play as fast as possible, just like eighth notes between them. And it was very improvisational. The whole solo was improved, because we'll do a solo live on that track. But it was definitely cool to see like a different side. It was like much more of like a punk thing, where it's like I've got a metronome in my ear and I'm not hearing any like scratched guitar tracks like I do with Druparia and stuff. So it was definitely an interesting experience having like the two different like sides of like playing, where it's like all under the umbrella of like a metal band and whatever. But it's like interesting seeing the different experiences.
Very cool, man. So in that one, the guitarist would be like the primary vocalist, or is it mainly an instrumental band?
The guitarist and I both share vocal duties, actually. So like, we'll trade off, or like we'll both do choruses. He actually has a thing called GERD, which is like a gastrointestinal thing. So like that's part of the reason we're on hiatus. But like at the last couple of shows, like I've just had to do vocals on some of the tracks, like past the halfway point in our show, because like if he keeps doing them when you like squeeze your diaphragm when you're doing vocals, he'll just throw up. Which is an interesting experience. He's thrown up live a couple of times. Yeah.
Very punk rock.
Yeah.
Very punk rock.
And so like I've taken over a lot of vocal duties on that, but he mostly is the main lyricist for Seabiscuit. And I'll write songs too. Like I think our most popular song on Spotify is called HOA. It's about Homeowners Association, which I can never say correctly live. But I wrote the lyrics for that song, and I'm good at writing goofy lyrics. And I was scrolling Instagram in the bathroom at work, and I saw a meme where it was like a giant like ceramic frog, and it's like, oh, the HOA is gonna hate this. I'll be getting an email from them, and I'm like, I wrote the song just based on that meme. So like, Seabiscuit's songs are just about somebody we hate or like some goofy stuff. So, but yeah, it's playing drums and doing vocals at the same time is like a pretty harrowing experience for me because like I am not a vocalist by any means. So like, looking up like the correct technique and like actually practicing vocals and drums at the same time is like crazy, and it makes me appreciate like a Druparia show where I can just be at the back of the stage and like do my thing and not have to worry about screaming at the same time
Or playing kazoo.
or playing the kazoo while I play the drums. Yeah, we've done a couple of things. Last time we played the Vortex, I did a drum solo, and Chris took a fishing rod, and we put a carrot on like the string, and like I ate the carrot off the fishing rod while I was soloing. So like just like goofy stuff that you'd never do in like a serious setting, we'll just do it just cause. Just why not?
That's good, man. And a good balance, like that you can have a more of like a less serious. Well, maybe. I mean, serious. I take it that you're serious about it either way. That you want to play good, but like that's the vibe is a little less.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like you're not gonna eat the carrot off the fishing pole at the Druparia show. Probably,
mean, hey,
maybe.
I would do
Not
it.
ruling anything out.
I would do it, and I've asked them, but I don't think they'd ever let me.
So
But
yeah.
We're saying not saying no.
I don't know,
I'd
man.
do it.
Maybe we should start doing some gore stuff. You know, like just like some really crazy stuff just to see what we can get away with you before
would
you
do
say no.
Yeah, I mean, like the way I like to think about it is like Druparia like pushes me a lot for like my chops and like makes me be a better musician, and like the stuff that they'll write is complicated, and I'm like, especially in Firmament and Renewal, there's a part where it's like a measure of 5/4 and then a measure of 5/4 and then a measure of 6/4 and then it switches to like 6/8, and like Seabiscuit is very like a thing where I can just kind of like, I don't know, just turn my brain off for a little while and do some punk stuff or like improv some solos or whatever. So it's like, it's really nice to get both. Cause like, I feel like without like Druparia pushing me to be a better musician, I would like stagnate. And like, without being able to play the kazoo at the same time as the drums, I'd be like, man, I want to like do something more. So
Yeah, you have a good balance.
yeah, exactly.
That's important. And then Kyle, you're playing bass with Centerless.
Yeah. I started jamming with them back in I would say 2024. I think it's the first time I jammed with them, and it just wasn't the right time for me at the moment. I had some personal stuff going on, life and all that good stuff. So I after a couple times I said, hey, I really want to keep doing this, but I don't want to hamstring you guys from going further than what I can go at the moment. So I stepped back for a little while, and then I reached out to them. I think it was Gabe, their singer, and Bram, their one guitar player, came out to one of our shows at the Vortex, and this is like probably about 6 months ago or something like that. And we started talking again about doing some stuff, and I started jamming with them again, and now I'm jamming with them consistently. Bram and I are like working on stuff, getting stuff down, because it's still, a lot of it's still new to me and all that stuff. But it's really cool because it's different from what Druparia is doing, because they're kind of a different flavor of metal in a way, because they have some melodic elements, but they also like borrow a lot from post rock and like post metal. Like there's definitely like a lot of like influence from Neurosis and ISIS and other bands in that nature. Like basically Aaron Turner, Hydra Head stuff. And then there's definitely also like death metal influences. And I know Gabe bases his lyrics, a lot of his lyrics are around like sci-fi and science fiction, fantasy stuff like that. So it's kind of a different experience for me at the moment, jamming with those guys with what I've been doing with Druparia for the last 7 or 8 years now that we've been doing this and all that.
Yeah, I think that's very worth mentioning or acknowledging. That you guys really took your time in preparing the material and then all the hard work that led up, of course, to the actual release in 2024/2025, like we were kind of talking about before, but like right around that window, December 24, January 25. So yeah, look, I'm gonna reach out, or maybe you can just mention to them that'd be cool to have Centerless come in for an interview like this sometime as well.
Yeah, I think the dudes in the band would be down for that. Just have to, get everyone's schedules figured out and see like what date would best work with, everyone, and obviously what works best with you and everything. But yeah, we could definitely do something like that too.
Yeah, something I also forgot to mention while we were talking about that is, like, it's really nice to bring back the experience of, like, being in other bands to, like, add to what Druparia is doing. A couple of years ago, like, right before our album came out, I went down to Cincinnati for a summer to, like, live down there for a couple months, and they had a couple shows, and they had Dan Patty fill in with them, and he was an amazing drummer, and he learned the songs, and, like, he was really good. And when I was down there, I was playing in, like, a pop punk band. And I remember I came back up and started practicing with them again. And Josh was like, wow, you're hitting a lot harder than you used to. And I actually ruptured his eardrum with my snare drum during one of our practices.
That's true.
I felt bad about it, but I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah, I was happy. I had a ear-to-ear grin that he was hitting the drums harder. I'm like, this punk rock thing seems to have worked out well for you, sir.
Is it a lot of I hope I don't sound dumb asking this,
No,
but
you're fine.
No dumb questions, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, but anyway, is it a lot of rim shots, like to get that like a more aggressive snare sound?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I definitely have a habit of like during more like heavier like laid back parts or like breakdowny parts where I'm just slapping rim shots out, and like for a while after I came back, the middle of my drumsticks would just be shredded. When I'm doing like the thrash beat or like the blast beats and stuff, there's not a whole lot of rim shots. But like when I'm just laying back into it, I absolutely just crack out rim shots, especially live. Not as much when we're like recording stuff or even at practice sometimes, but like live when I just want it to hit hard, I'm definitely just hitting rim shots because it definitely adds a lot of sound to the snare drum. And like, I think that like live watching a lot of drummers, like if they're in a more laid back groove where they're not doing a whole ton of ghost notes and whatnot, and even between ghost notes, like if you're not blasting or playing super fast, like I just want to hear that like rim shot because it adds so much more like energy live. So I remember one time one of my drum teachers said that like the bigger the room is, the more energy you have to play with to fill it up. Even when you're mic'd up, like you just have to give it more energy to fill the room with sound. And like that's a philosophy that I try to take to playing drums live, where it's just like even in a small room, man, like I hate to say it like this, but like the louder you are and the faster you play, the more people are the more they're gonna like it. Like in the Cleveland and Akron like metal scenes.
So true.
It's like the faster and louder you are, the more people like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like first order of business is being able to execute the songs.
Oh yeah,
and that'd be the bare minimum, of like see some guys where they can play so fast, like they're so skilled with blast beats, but they don't really look. They look a little too comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
but I mean, you gotta. That's like I said, that's just like ground zero. But then on top of that, like you said, is like the intensity, and people do feed off that.
Absolutely, yeah. Playing metal live is like one of the like number one experiences for me, where it's like I've never had that same like adrenaline rush or like feeling that I get playing live metal. Like the first time, our first show, which was my like first real metal show playing, was at the Vortex in Akron. I remember they were sound checking my bass drum, and like when he mic'd it up, I could feel it in my chest, and like that was one of the moments where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this like for a long time.
Yes. So, we'll wrap up in a minute here. I feel it's sort of coming to a natural close. On a note of gratitude, because I did want to mention that Josh, you and Kyle, I believe that just when we were talking like pre-interview, you guys have played prior in Mithrius, was it?
I wasn't in Mithrius,
my bad.
but Tyler and Josh both.
You
were.
guys were, and I believe Christian Crucker was as well, and then you guys, I don't know if I did a bad job of setting that up, but anyway, and then you guys have known Dan from Blood Coven for a long time, right? So and we might have actually mentioned that already near the beginning, but yeah, just sort of, I guess that's sort of the start of, you guys getting linked up, maybe, was since you both knew each other, both had played in Mithrius. And
so Dan, the connection, Dan actually, so the original vocalist in Mithrius, Taylor Djokovic, he passed away actually a few years ago, and I think it was 2024, that show. We did a tribute show.
The tribute show
Yeah.
was,
it was 2024.
It was
Yeah.
a couple months before the album release.
Dan actually stepped in to do vocals for it, and that was a huge, awesome thing for him to do. And he was obviously, a friend of the band and everything. It's we were talking about earlier, just the kind of interconnectivity of the, Cleveland, Akron, scenes and everything. We would just practice at, we practiced at Christian's place because we were doing the original lineup and everything with Mithrius, and that's also where Blood Coven played, and it was just easy to just be like, hey, Dan, you wanted to top on and do it, and he was like, oh, sure, okay, let me, and that was awesome of him to do that. And again, more of for me too, it was like a symbolic thing. Same with them being on the Druparia release show.
yeah,
because he's been such a big pronounced guy in my time in the metal scene, if you want to say that. So that was awesome of him to do that and everything. So
yeah. I got one other Dan story that I only know this from doing this show. So when I had interviewed Brian Kerr, who was also in Blood Coven back in the 90s, he told me a story about that they were on, I think it was called maybe World Series of Metal, or one of these older shows, but the Misfits were there, and it was the Misfits with Mikhail Graves, and then I guess he got thrown in jail right before the show. So then Dan, then they were well, they didn't, I guess they were just well, we're going to do the show. We're the Misfits. Everyone knows the words anyway. So they were letting people come up and sing. And then, so I guess Dan did go up and sing a couple songs.
that does not surprise me.
With the Misfits.
Yeah.
That was such a cool
That's awesome
story to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that might be a cool place to end because we're talking about previous projects, things that you've done, prior or currently, aside from the band. And then I take it with Josh, you're at the moment you're just committed to, I don't know if that's the best way to say, but you're doing Druparia solely at the moment. Okay.
I barely have enough time for this band, so I can't see myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if I were ever to do something else, I would like to start a grunge band with some of my high school friends. We got Andy Prosek who takes pictures for us and helps us load our gear.
Yeah,
he's learning bass, and I'm trying to convince him to learn a couple Alice in Chains songs that we can just jam on. And who knows, maybe it'll turn into something.
I could see that being really cool. He would do good in that. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Dude, you have the perfect haircut to do the grunge band.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah, I had a Japanese floor mate in college, and that's how he would introduce me to his friends. He'd be like, "My friend Josh, he looks just like Kurt Cobain." I'm like, I don't see it, man, but thank you.
Well, dudes, this has been a lot of fun.
thank you.
I think whenever appropriate, you know, a couple months down the line, or you know, just whenever, it'd be cool to do a follow-up interview. It possibly have the have Dave present with you as well.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we can line that up with you know, some if you have some. I know you guys say you're trying to branch out and start going out to see if you have like some touring scheduled or a new.
Whenever we can announce that big show.
Yeah.
that we can announce
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
There's we definitely don't want to be the local band that's like big things coming soon, but
Yeah.
big things
Yeah.
coming soon.
Excellent, man.
At least right now, until the
Yeah, can't
carpet gets ripped from it.
Yeah, we can't say anything yet, but there's definitely something on the horizon that's going to be pretty big.
Big things coming soon.
Well, hell yeah, dude. So yeah, you heard it here. I mean, make sure if you're just getting hip to Druparia that you know, follow them on their socials, keep up with you know, these newer shows that are getting announced, and appreciate everybody that's listening to the show live.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
having
much. Noah, Kyle, Josh, and Tyler. I'm gonna do that one more time. Tyler on guitar, Josh on guitar, Kyle on bass, Noah on drums, and Dave on vocals. We'll get him in next time. So yeah, we'll end the show for tonight. This will be streaming on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's just get a hell yeah to close it out.
Hell yeah.
All right, y'all. Take care.
You too. Thank you, man.
Thanks all.